Thanks for staying with us. Now, newly trained teachers taking part in the licensure examination at the Kofredua Asokore SDA College of Education are accusing invigilators of extorting extra 10 cedis before allowing them into the examinations hall. The teachers who were unhappy to cough up more money aside paying the 220 cedis want the authorities to provide answers. Joy News' Kofi Siao has more.
Examination scheduled to start at 9 a.m. started at 2 p.m. The teachers were unhappy because authorities failed to explain the long delay. The licensure program will ensure that new teacher trainees are given professional qualification. The examination is open to all holders of Diploma in Education, Bachelor of Education, and Postgraduate Diploma in Education who are desirous of seeking employment with the Ghana Education Service. The National Teaching Council charged trainees 220 cedis as examinations fee. However, authorities supervising the examination have been demanding extra 10 cedis from the trainees. The trainees who were stranded on the Kofredua Asokore SDA College of Education campus complained they had no extra cash.
Informed about it. Are you getting it? We went to the room and then they were telling us that we have to pay from information from where we don't know of. We have to pay 10 cedis.
Okay, so you didn't know before you came here?
No, we knew nothing about it.
What do you do?
The issue is me, myself now. I don't have any money on me. I just brought 8 cedis. 8 cedis for my transport. I'm in Kofredua here. And the issue that pains me a lot is that my other colleagues from far, they are all here. They came to sleep here and then they paid some extra money. And they were even complaining to me that how are they going to get money to send it to their destination back. Which is an issue.
And after the money we paid for the license exams and then another 60 Ghana that we paid for orientation, we should pay 10 cedi in addition before we write the exams. This one we are not paying. We are not paying any 10 cedi. Yeah, because they didn't tell us to pay anything. So when we were coming from our homes, we didn't bring any 10 cedis. So this thing is very confusing.
The teachers are calling on government to immediately intervene.
What is the guarantee that after this, everybody is going to get a job? Is there any guarantee? I think we need some explanations from the government. They should come out with something much better and some reasons. It doesn't make sense. They're not making any reasons here.
And let him know that
seriously, we are all Ghanaians. I think we deserve the better. We deserve the better.
I want to know from government that after writing this paper, are we going to be posted? Or is it going to say that we should pass before we are posted? If not that, all the money he's taking from us as unemployment people around here, the money he is taking from us before we write the paper, what is going on? We are all citizens of Ghana. And look at how he is treating us. So he should be aware of everything that is going on.
The examination started today and will end on Wednesday, September 12th. Kofi Siao's reports.
Well, teachers who took the exams at the UCC Accra campus and the Accra College of Education were angry at the poor organization of the examination and the lack of communication between the NTC and the candidates. Selenam Ampo spoke to some teachers.
All the way from Lashibi with my baby. We were told you'll be writing the paper at 9 a.m. this morning. We came here, we have been sitting here since morning with our babies. And this baby is moving around. We went inside, come out, go inside, come out. Nothing, they are not telling us anything. So they should come out and say something at least. What is going on?
You better come out and tell us. Instead of leaving us here, wasting our time. I was here around 5. Up to now, I've not heard anything from them. What they tell us is that some people are still registering. And you are those organizing the exams. And you gave a deadline. How come up to now, people are still registering? And
we came here as early as 6:30 because the exams were stipulated should have set off at 9. We left our everything home. I left my daughter at school as early as 6 because I want to partake in the exams. I've been here only to be told around 9:30 that the exams will come off at 2, which is not very fair. The NTC, as they sent message to our phones, should have given us a
last week, and I begged my employer to come and write the exams so that immediately after the exams I will go back to work. And now I'm here till 2 o'clock.
and I'm afraid that my employer will sack me from the work. You understand? They have really mesmerized us.
Well, one of the supervisors of the National Teaching Council, Gideon Ahodu, explains the cause of the delay.
The examination was supposed for this group to be at Accra College of Education. However, due to the total number of candidates who chose Accra Center, Accra College of Education Center, we decided to bring the number of them to this center, Papa Fio Center, so that the facilities at Accra College of Education can only cater for about 600 candidates, you see. So the rest, which are over 800, have been brought to this center in order to write the licensure examination.
All right. Was it communicated to the teachers that examination process is going to delay a bit?
Yes. No. Oh, we did it. Was that we sent text messages. We sent text messages to the principal to inform the candidates. So those at Accra College of Education have got the information. But because these people were separated from the total number, the information got here very late. Very late. That is why they were not informed earlier in time.
We stay on education because the Ghana Education Service has allayed the fears of some parents about the double-track system due to be rolled out from tomorrow as senior high schools across the country resume. The first batch of students is expected to report Tuesday, as some students are yet to be placed. But addressing the media in Accra today, the GES has given the strongest assurance that all is set for tomorrow's start of the system. Ifwa Evans Chinnery, Father's report.
400 schools across the country have been selected to implement the double-track system, whilst 296 schools will carry out the single-track system. The double track has been placed in two groups, the green track and the gold track. The first batch of candidates placed on the green track is expected to resume Tuesday, September 11, 2018, whilst the second batch who are on the gold track will resume on November 8, 2018. Director General of the Ghana Education Service, Professor Kwesi Opoku-Amankwah, assured issues with prospectus experienced in previous years have been reviewed for all senior high schools.
One of the key issues that came up last year around this time when schools reopened was the issue of prospectus. And as a result of the prospectus and the issues that came up, we had to even call some heads and then sanction them. So we thought it wise this year to make sure that our prospectus for the various schools have been reviewed. We met with regional directors and then the heads when they were at their CHARS conference, and we discussed and we agreed that we should have some standards for prospectus in the schools.
Professor Amankwah also dismissed suggestions that government will provide uniforms for second-year students who started the free senior high school.
There are some payments that were made one-off. Government paid once. For example, government says it's buying school uniform for you. If the school uniform that government bought for you, you could use it for the 3 years and beyond. You don't need, as a parent, to go and buy a school uniform. PA kits. If the student can use it for the 3 years and beyond, we don't have any challenge with that. What we are saying is that for those things that government bought one-off, whenever the student runs short of them, we expect the parents to supply them.
According to him, the service is making sure all requirements needed for the successful implementation of the Akufo-Addo flagship policy. He outlined plans and arrangements the GES has put in place to ensure the program runs effectively.
we had health challenges, especially in Kumasi Academy. Now, as a result of that, we've had a series of interactions with the Ghana Health Service, and we have recently signed an MOU. Last year, they did medical examinations for the first years, about 270,000 of the first years last year. This year, they're going to do for all of them, plus those who were not covered. We've also had arrangements with them where our school infirmaries, we are going to set them up, and then they are going to provide us with health officials, nurses to mind them. They've also come up with a breakdown of schools and the nearest medical centers that students could attend whenever there is some issue relating to their health.
Meanwhile, the service says students seeking a transfer to another school after enrollment will not have the opportunity, as that may impede the system. Ifwa Evans Chinwi for Joy News.
You're watching Joy News Prime with me, Araba Combs. And still to come, remains of former UN Secretary General Kofi Annan arrives in Ghana for 3-day final funeral rites. And parents and guardians of students to begin new double-track education system besiege schools across the country for registration process. We'll bring you details. Details after this break. You're welcome back. Now, some new students who did self-placement on the computerized school selection placement system in the Upper West region have to wait a little longer to know the track they belong to. Joy News' Upper West correspondent Rafiq Salam reports from WA.
Unlike last year, when the school had 473 new students, this year the number is double. Deepak Pascalina hails from Lambuse, a community that is 92 kilometers away from WA, where his new school is located. She is among 5 dozens of new students waiting to go through the process. She is worried about the slow pace of the registration process.
My community is far, and then through my distance, my parents are poor, so I decided to come yesterday because I know if I get up today and come, I will not be able to do I will not be able to get my admission. So I had to come yesterday. I slept at my grandmother's place, and today when I came, the queue is long, and I have to wait and take my admission, because if I didn't take the admission, my parents maybe tomorrow they will not get money for me to come and take the admission again.
Assistant Headmaster of West Senior High Technical School in charge of academics, Abdul Qadir Sise, has heap of admission letters in front of him.
You come with valid national health insurance card. Don't come with mobile phone. You come with mobile phone, we'll seize it. Okay. You are reporting tomorrow, 11th of September. Green track. Thank you.
It appears things are going smoothly here. However, the major headache here is the sea of students who did self-placement and have not been given tracks. Others have also done self-placement, but their names are not in the master list of the schools. Out of the 833 students placed at the school, less than 100 students have so far collected their admission letters. Reporting for Joy News, Rafiq Salam.
And from the Upper East, let's go to the Upper West, where admission processes at the Bolgatanga Girls Senior High School closed on the first day, with less than 10 of the new students successfully going through the process. Some parents and students who Joy News spoke to said they were told it was due to link failure.
Today, I have been monitoring the situation in 2 schools here in Bolgatanga as far as the double-track system is concerned. At the Bolgatanga Girls Senior High School, not much had been achieved from morning up to 2 p.m. because there were problems with the system. And so many of the parents who came there with their children had left with the intention of coming back later. But the few who were still there, we spoke to them and they were explaining to us that they had been informed that there were challenges with the link, and so they were asked to wait. And many of them looked, very tired. Many of the children were sitting on the verandas, and a few of them looked dejected because many of them were coming from outside of Bolgatanga, so they did not know for how long they had to wait for this problem to be resolved.
I came from Walwala as at 8 o'clock. I was here. And looking at the scenario or the whole thing, once the place was choked up, it was that the system has failed. So we're there, and because of the choke-up system, they were picking the boarding students, and finally they just came out and said, no, the boarding students have been blocked. Only those who are day students that they will continue. And they did that. And at the time, they just came out and finally told us that if we wouldn't mind, we can come back tomorrow again.
They said when they open the system, they will be seeing instead of boarding. So the government will come in and do something so that the students said, they themselves said the student will be going on, they will report on tomorrow. Here's the case, we don't have admission, we don't even know what to buy.
I was here around 7:30 in the morning. Since that time, we've been seeing them going up and down, telling us that like the system is blocked, they can't get in. Also sitting, I don't know what to do. I was even here last Friday, and they told us that we should go back, like network problem, all sort of excuses. And we are spoiling our fears. Me, I have to go.
I'm from Boku. I came here around 7:30 in the morning to look for admission for my sister. And here is I'm here, still here, waiting for the admission. They are telling us that the system is not good. So we are begging them to do something about it because we are from far place. If you don't get it, we don't know anywhere here to sleep. So they should do something about it and get us.
Now, at the Bolgatanga Secondary School, we checked there as well, and compared to the Bolgatanga Girls Senior High School, the situation there was different. Except for very long queues that were there, everything else was smooth.
Albert, sorry there. Now, some parents of prospective senior high school students are worried about the double-track system. Some say they rather prefer to enroll their children in private schools to avoid what they describe as the frustrating process. Emmanuel Jivenu was at the St. Thomas Aquinas SHS and spoke to some parents and students.
My nephew and my son, they've all gotten admission at Aquinas. And one is in the first track, the other is in the second. You saw me looking at the board, trying to find their names. I found their names. One is coming 40 days. After 40 days, the other will come. And I don't think it is going down well with parents. Somebody like me, who know how important education is. A child sits at home for 40 days. Doing what? Sleeping. When his colleagues are in school, and then he goes to school and his colleagues come home to sleep. How is that helpful? Just because government says so. It's not good. It's not good. Government should have told parents way ahead of time, plan ample time to plan this thing. You don't just get up and force this thing on parents, that your children must go through this track system. One goes, one comes. What is that? Ecological, changes that the children are going on. They are going through, we parents can't tell, because you can't tell what is going on in the minds of them, but they keep asking a lot of questions. And you don't even know what. If there are private schools, I want my children to go to a private school.
I remember there was a conference at the National Conference Center, and there used to be some big tents over there. there are schools that haven't got accommodations for the students. They could use those type of tents for the incoming students. Whatever it is, we can accommodate them under those tents, and they will do well. I used to be an old Tom here. This is Aquana Secondary School, and we used to, when we came, there was A, B, C, D Form 1s. Then the classes were full. They have to build a makeshift structure for us. We call it stable. We tease ourselves in it, but we still flourish under it. We study and then qualify. We could make such amendments. It's just wooden structures, put them together, bagbo, and then you get the structures done. Wherever you sit and learn, you will still absorb some. You get one point. It doesn't mean you should be in a 20-story building before, but for the situation, something must be done.
Meanwhile, some parents said they are willing to give the new education system a try to see how helpful it would be.
As it is, as a parent, I think, as my colleague said earlier on, change is good, but it depends on the type of change that you are talking about. This particular change we see, yes, the concept, the brain behind is such a way that if really it is due to the fact that students, majority of students should be able to have access to education, then that is positive. That is positive. But then let's also consider the period. When I say period, I'm talking about the timetable, the curriculum. Can the teachers cope? That is where we should be looking at. If the teachers will be giving some sort of training as and when or how to do things in order to make sure that academically students are nothing is taken out of them so far as academic knowledge is concerned, then I don't see any problem with it.
So you heard their parents in Accra. Let's head to the Bono Ahafo region, where headmistress of the Twene Amanfo Secondary Technical School is worried delays in registration could affect academic work should parents and students delay in completing their registration on time.
If you look at the number now, those who have come for their admission forms and their other documents, I don't think they can even be up to 200. So they want to take their time to come. If this happens, it will also affect teaching and learning in the school. So I was discussing with my assistant head academics that if tomorrow the number reporting is not encouraging, then we will go on air and tell the parents to come, because we are using 41 days, weeks to 41 weeks to teach the first track, that's green track, and the same number. So if you delay, we cannot add to the number of weeks you are supposed to be in the school. Meanwhile, the whole period for this WAS exams is 3 years. So, but the parents, most of them don't understand. So if it happens that they delay the first term, it will go against the students. We will find ways and means of contacting the parents, telling them to rush, because this school is purely day, so they wouldn't need much to buy the prospectus things on the prospectus.
So ahead of the implementation of the new system, we've been speaking with Deputy Education Minister Dr. Yao Osei Educhum on the ministry's preparedness. You know by now that 423,000 students have been placed, with more students expected to be added to this number on the self-placement system. According to Dr. Educhum, most schools have also received foodstuffs and some funds as part of preparations towards this new system.
If you're a parent and your child doesn't have green or gold on the acceptance letters, it means their school is single track, and therefore you should be prepared to really get your children to school. At this time, I would say that a number of people have done their self-placement. As of yesterday, we had 27,000 people who have done their self-placement. Out of 67, I know on average every day is 10,000, so I know today it may even jump, and parents are going to find schools for their children. But we have 423,000 students who have already been placed. Okay. Yeah, so those ones, they don't have to worry about. It's just a question of going to print. I know initially there were challenges, and thank God things are now moving fast. And I believe that people will have the opportunity. If you have purchased a scratch card or short code and there were challenges, if you have used it for 2 or 3, we've done it in such a way that now it's unlimited. So you can go back and use the same code and check and make sure your child goes to school this week.
How about the school? What kind of support have we already started disbursing funds to them to begin the operations?
In preparations to do just that. But you see, the interesting thing is that the pressure on them last year is different from this year. Because this year...
Double pressure, or?
No, less than that, half pressure. Because half of the students are going. Unlike last year, where they got all the students there at the same time. So a school that had 1,000 last year, maybe having 1,500, but only 750 are showing up in school. So in fact, there's less pressure on them at the opening this year around than last year, because half of the students are showing up. The good news is that since the last 2 weeks, schools have received all their foodstuffs. Food has gone. Everything they need to start cooking is there. But we're also making preparations to do what we call advanced support.
Saying all schools?
Of course.
You're watching Joy News Prime with me, Araba Kumson. Don't go away, because business is up next.
Good evening to you. Welcome to Business. Now, some business associations have reacted to the downward performance of the cedi on the market, insisting they may have no other choice than to pass on the extra cost incurred to consumers. Already, there have been calls for urgent intervention to cushion local businesses against the cedi's fall. Charles IT has been engaging some business stakeholders who say they are fast losing their capital in the wake of the local currency's depreciation.
Main topic of the mind of every business leader, entrepreneur and executive is the issue of the depreciation of the cedi. So far, we at Joy Business have been giving you clear details as to the updates regarding the Ghana cedi and issues attendant to that. But to what extent are they coping in the wake of these issues of the cedi and the cost of doing business in Ghana? I get to interact with the president of the Ghana Union of Traders Association, Dr. Stephen Obeng, on this issue to get his first-hand thoughts on the matters as they arise. How concerned are you as an association regarding the state of the cedi as it is now?
It's very worrying. It simply means that we are losing our capitals. That's all that it means. Yeah.
So how are you coping at this moment? What particular strategies are your members taking to still stay afloat in the wake of this development? Because we do know it's going to impact on imports as well as exports especially.
Yeah, it's management as usual, but the bulk lies on government to stabilize it.
The state of the cedi is bound to see business leaders and importers, members of GUTA, push down the cost on consumers. These are the words of the president of GUTA as he did speak to me. But let's also bring in the executive secretary of the Importers and Exporters Association of Ghana, Samson Akati, who's also been explaining to me what exactly this will mean to them and how best they think this situation could be addressed.
We should be looking forward to pay more for imported goods.
Let's talk solutions here. So what are the key things that you wish government addresses in the span of the shortest time?
Well, I don't even know if the government have the balls to say that, okay, we are going to halt it where it is $5, maybe for the next 3 months or maybe for the next 6 months, so importer can plan. quite apart from that, I want to see, as you know, that's why I do say my organization speak for import and export issues. So what is the government doing about export? We get to interact with the Executive Secretary of the Food and Beverage Association of Ghana, Samuel Agre, as we find out from him what exactly could be the best way out for them, and especially how best they are coping in these troubling times.
So obviously, if importers or manufacturers are going to look at it the way it is running, then obviously you would have to increase your price every now and then. But some of them, strategically, they have this long-term measure that they've taken. And therefore, if you do your own projections very well, it's also help you to benchmark your costing. Otherwise, we would be increasing prices every now and then, which is not good for manufacturing and also for businesses, because you need to have a long-term plan, do your projections right, so that at least you can be stable in the market. Otherwise, eventually, you have to price yourself out of the market, because the soft drink manufacturers, for instance, I'm telling you, most of them, if you sit down with them, they can tell you the losses that they are making.
So far, government has made it clear that all efforts to arrest the depreciation of the cedi is in progress, and that business associations will not have to panic. But based on the interactions that we've had so far, it is very clear that the impacts are very much intense, and they are just hoping that situations will not get worse in the coming months. For Joy Business, I'm Charles Aita reporting.
Now, get treated like a VIP or enjoy a limousine ride to and from the airport for free. These services are among the latest innovations at the new Kotoka International Terminal 3 building. The facility is part of a $400 million project by the Ghana Airports Company to upgrade its facilities and infrastructure across the country. The new terminal building is finally ready, and ahead of the commissioning, our correspondent Sheila Tamaklu joined Managing Director of the Ghana Airports Company Limited on a tour of the facility.
A French person may say bienvenue, but in English it is welcome. Indeed, welcome to the gateway to West Africa. That is the new Kotoka International Airport Terminal 3. And right here we are at the departures, and as you can see behind me, these boards will help you find which aircraft you are going for and at what time it's arriving or departing from this place. The departure hall of the new terminal now holds 56 check-in counters, which will enable the processing of 1,250 passengers an hour and a total of up to 5 million passengers a year. A 700 square meter retail space and an automated luggage handling system are part of this state-of-the-art facility.
From the top, then when you get in there, you can do self-check-in without going to any check-in desk. But when you do, then we have 56 check-in desks that should facilitate customers going through there. If you look at Terminal 2, sometimes it felt so congested that different lines to different airlines were getting crossed. Now there's enough space for everybody, and we can handle about 1,250 passengers in an hour through through the departure lounge. Then we also have the iValidate. What it does is once you check in, you have your card, and the card will allow you access to the airside. If you haven't checked in or your plane has left, there's no way you can go through the gates to the airside. The other thing is because of the nature of the system, when it's time for the gate to close, the gate will close and nobody can check you in. The system will shut down the desk. So I think it's important for travelers to remember that when the airline gives you time for checking in, they mean that. You're not come to say, oh, I'm sorry, I was a bit late or delayed here and there. Once it shuts down, it shuts, and everybody has to go through. When you arrive at Kotoka now, you should be able to get your luggage in a very short time. It's all coming on the conveyor belt, which is handling about 3,000 bags in an hour. And that's what we have. We do not think that anybody we should not have any clutter of luggage here. People will just come in straight from the plane. You come to the immigration, go through immigration, and you should be out in no time.
Okay. So this is the, the baggage thing. So
yeah, the baggage handling system. They are coming pop out of there, come and go this way. And the way we've done it, the way it is aligned, it means that the luggages are going to be lined up this way horizontally, and then they're able to travel. So a lot more bags can fit on this system than we ordinarily have. If it was flat, you see, the other side they were flat, and therefore things, just with a few bags, the thing get filled. And the system is moving.
Travelers who have transited through the existing Terminal 2 building will now experience a great difference. The new Terminal 3 now has air bridges for a smooth transit, and here's a few.
Bringing some more sides of the Terminal 3 building in our subsequent bulletins. Now, the Multi-TV Fair is the one-stop shop for all your housing needs. This year, we are hosting the 9th edition, which has already kicked off with 2 mini fairs. However, there have been a few changes to the venue and date. Edem Avamega joins me in the studio for some details. Edem, now, so how did the 2 mini fairs fare?
Well, the 2 mini fairs was very successful. I mean, patrons and exhibitors alike were excited about the turnout, and people who came there looking for stuff about their housing needs were also met. So it was very successful.
All right. So what's the new date and venue?
Yes. So now the new date for the event is the 21st to 23rd of September, and it's happening at the Providence Event Center, adjacent Auto Chill, close to the Trade Fair site. Yeah,
so 21st and 23rd.
21st to the 23rd of September, which is in about 2 weeks from now. Yeah, it's happening from Friday to Sunday.
And what should patrons expect?
Well, I mean, we this time we're displaying a larger array of exhibitors. At the mini clinics, the numbers were small, but we have bigger numbers for this main fair, and so the access to products about housing, you get a lot more people that you can choose from, and so we're encouraging everybody to be there at the Providence Event Center. It's very close to the Trade Fair site. So if you get to Trade Fair, you ask anybody, you're going to the Providence Event Center, they will show you. And when you come, anything from bare land to roofing, interior decoration, furnishing, electronics, any and everything that regards housing. Even the car company will be there to exhibit as well, so you can even get all that.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, Evan.
The new date for the Joy Business Habitat Fair is 21st to 23rd of September. And on that note, we wrap up business for tonight. My name is Emmanuel Abuaji. Riafi. Have a good evening.
You're welcome back. Now, the Minister of Local Government and Rural Development, Hajia Alima Mahama, has descended strongly on district and municipal chief executives allegedly involved in illegal mining. The local government minister is threatening to expose and sack all those involved. She says reports of DCE's and MCE's involvement in Galamsey is a major drawback to government's fight against the menace across the country. Hajia Alima Mahama was speaking at a conference on government's roadmap to lifting the ban on illegal mining. Kingsley Otu's report.
1st April 2017, a moratorium was placed on all artisanal and small-scale mining operations throughout the country to deal with the canker of illegal mining activities across the country. In August 2018, government launched a roadmap towards lifting the ban on small-scale mining. Speaking at the conference, local government minister Hajia Alima Mahama confirmed allegations that some district chief executives are engaged in illegal mining, though they are key players in the implementation of the policy.
When we come out with a policy, you are to act local. The action has to be local. So you then have to give a message to the people by your actions that we mean business and we are serious about it. But if through your attitude and your actions, the people feel that we are not serious about it, that means the policy is not going to go far. The implementation is going to be thwarted. Why should any of you be engaged in Galamsey? Why? Whatever you do, the chief of staff, the president, they will know. Even when you say a word, they will know. So you cannot do something and feel that you can sneak. And you know reports come. So if we get a report about you, Galamsey, we are not even going to call you to ask you.
Chief of Staff Frema Osei Opare says government has so far trained 3,000 artisanal and small-scale miners in sustainable mining and mineral processing to sanitize the industry.
As of August 2018, 3,000 artisanal and small-scale miners had been trained in sustainable mining and mineral processing practices at the University of Mines and Technology, Tarkwa. The university has also trained 18 men from Operation Vanguard and 15 staff of the Minerals Commission in drone piloting and data analysis.
Chairman of the Interministerial Committee on Mining and Minister for Environment, Professor Kwabena Frimpong Boateng, is still tight-lipped on when government intends to lift the ban on illegal mining.
We are not talking about the lifting of the ban. We are talking about a roadmap. So when we have fulfilled the parameters outlined in the roadmap, then the ban will be lifted. As of now, nobody can tell you exactly when it will be lifted, because we are in the process of vetting the miners, and it's going on very well. We are also assembling the excavators to be tagged electronically. And these are the processes that we are going through. And when we are done, then the president will give us the date that the ban will be lifted.
Kingsley Otto's report for Joy News.
You're welcome back. Now, the Consolidated Bank Ghana Limited will have to retain a sizable number of staff after its rationalization process. That's one of a number of decisions agreed after a meeting between the Employment and Labour Ministry, the Chief Executive Officer of the Consolidated Bank, and officials of the Central Bank on Monday. The meeting was also attended by representatives of organized labour. Shortly, we'll bring you details of the communique issued after that meeting earlier today. But first, scores of workers formerly hired by the defunct Unibank have accused their managers of holding on to their salaries and entitlements after Consolidated Bank reportedly paid the company. The workers claim their sources within the bank have informed them the bank forwarded the salaries and entitlements to Top Core Security Ghana Limited. The workers who converged at the company's premises Monday are demanding full payment of their entitlements. Here's Joshua Smith's report.
The outsourced staff with the defunct Unibank includes dispatch riders, drivers, tellers, cash boys, security guards and receptionists. The security personnel, numbering about 50, converged at the premises of the Top Core Security Ghana Limited earlier today, demanding their August salaries and entitlements. One of them, Sally Fuisa, revealed after the termination of the contract between Top Core Security Ghana Limited and Unibank, workers were still taxed to work.
It's about our package. We've been laid off. That is the fact. As at 3rd September, they call a meeting. Our GM said, we've been laid off. The layoff is, we are also staff to Unibank, which has been taken over by Consolidated Bank. So it's obvious they don't have work for us. We need our August pay as well as our severance pay. It's what they are dodging. They should at least pay us August pay for some of us to find different jobs elsewhere. They keep us to be reporting here every day. If you look at those people here, they are made up of security men, dispatch riders, tellers to the banks, mainstream staff, cash boys. A lot of us are here. When the contract, the top half with Unibank was terminated by Consolidated Bank, it happened on the 28th of August. The contract was terminated. 29th, the following day, they asked us to go back to work.
Shaibu Idrisa, a dispatch rider, added a list of names of the staff was sent to Consolidated Bank for the purpose of payment, following which some of the workers were paid. However, he claims those paid were not given their full entitlements. According to him, they'll consult the Labour Commission to assist them if all attempts fail.
When we came here for the meeting, they only told us that they had not terminated our appointment with them, but they had withdrawn our services. So when we asked them, what do they mean by withdraw our services, they said we should be on standby. In case of any vacancies, they would call on us.
So, as we indicated earlier, a meeting convened by the Consolidated Bank and attended by officials of the Central Bank and the Labour Ministry has agreed that as much as possible, very few jobs will be lost following agitations by workers in the wake of the collapse of the 5 local banks. Joy News' Komla Adum has a copy of that communique. He joins me in the studio with more. First of all, who and where were in this meeting?
Well, Araba, this meeting actually was convened by the Employment and Labour Ministry, and so we had representatives of UNICOF, the General Secretary himself, his deputy, the TUC General Secretary himself, his deputy as well. We had the CEO of the Consolidated Bank himself, the receiver, Ni Amana Dodu, was also there, and then ICU, the General Secretary, Solomon Kute. They were all in this particular meeting today.
I see. Interesting. And what were some of the key pointers reached after the meeting, which we understand traveled, late into?
Yes, but so some of the pointers arrived after this meeting was that as a matter of urgency, the Consolidated Bank Ghana should try as much as possible to retain a sizable number of the staff, even though they're going through a rationalization process. We know that they've sent messages around for people to reapply if they want to remain staff of the bank. But the agreement after the meeting was that after this process of rationalization, there should be a sizable number of people still having their jobs at this meeting. Also, it resolved that the organized labor, TUC, UNICOF, ICU, should continue engagements with the Consolidated Bank to try and agree terms of paying severance packages, for example, entitlements and benefits for those who lose their jobs. And finally, it's also resolved that going forward, those who will lose their jobs, at least half that number, should be able to be re-engaged to provide other services to the Consolidated Bank. Maybe not in their current capacity as permanent staff, but maybe service providers on contract basis of a sort.
Okay. And what about, the status of the workers and those who've been asked to reapply? Did the communique say anything about that?
The communique didn't say, but a representative who was in that particular meeting tells me that they have finished the first stage of their process. So they've allowed the people to apply, they sent their details into a certain portal, so that's closed. The second stage of this process is they're going to be shortlisting the number of individuals. They're going to be calling them for interview sessions, and those who qualify will also move from that stage to a third stage, and then the process continues.
All right, many thanks.
But I'm speaking to the minister, Deputy Minister of Employment and Labour, Bright Rekubrobe. He tells us that the number of people who are losing the jobs are half the number of workers who work for Consolidated Bank. So 4,000 people work for them so far. Half that number, almost about 2,000, are losing their jobs.
The bank that has just come into being, and they are looking at staff strength in total, which I would say, for want of a better word, they inherited close to about 4,000 staff, and they have to rationalize and do all that. So roughly they were looking at, let's say, about 1,000 or more. So, we would not say all the 4,000 or so staff will be losing their jobs. Some sizable number, obviously, are going to get their jobs retained.
For the thousands of workers listening to us now, the assurance they would want to get from the ministry, for instance, is that there's something in all this for them.
The issue is that, these job losses for some of them are quite inevitable. The bank assures us, CBG, that they were going to even look at these surplus or staff which they cannot recruit. They have, these kinds of plans to make sure that some staff who are redundant but have skills, put them together for alternative uses in the banking sector.
On the specifics about how many jobs will be lost, do you know for sure how many jobs will be lost?
We're looking at the numbers in the region of 2,985 staff. They have asked all these people to apply. So if people will lose jobs at all, it will be in the region of roughly, let's say, half, about 2,000 or so.
Now, there were two specific concerns of these affected workers. One is that they want their severance packages paid to them. What was the conclusion on that?
That one, we could not go into the specific interventions today. So.
Now, 6 people, all females, have been hospitalized after sustaining various degrees of injuries in a stampede in Kumasi late afternoon on Monday. The central market was heavily congested due to ongoing construction work and mad rush shopping for school. Love FM's Nana Asensumensa reports.
Through a narrow route at the popular 18 lane in front of the central market to be able to reach places like Dr. Mensah and Pampaso. The situation can be attributed to the rush trade by parents ahead of reopening of school tomorrow. The injured victims were rushed to Konfanochi Teaching Hospital for medical attention. One of them, Akosua Cha, spoke to Love News shortly after she was discharged.
Edwarding more, Nanny Pearl, Warrior, which or be near my free toy. I'm assuming I'm a free toy and go to a fan or to fire, so and to me, my own free beer. I know. Me, I'm a member of Savasa. Maybe I was a woman near Mana. May I found to an arm the cost of it, and think I may be cost of it.
Paramedics rushed in to save the situation, recount their experience. Here is senior emergency medical technician Kwame Janchire.
We had a call from our control room that there is a stampede at 18 in the central market. So control dispatch us to the scene. When we get there, we assess the scene and saw that we have 6 casualties on the ground. Pregnant woman and then schoolgirl and then other ladies too. So we have 6 ladies. There is no men on the ground. So we have 6 patients who we transport them to Konfo-Anokye. So we are the first dispatch and then we assess the scene and saw that we may need a backup. So we call our control room for another ambulance to come. So we transport the first patients, the first 3 patients to Konfo-Anokye. And then our another dispatch, that is the second crew, also came for the other 3 patients. No, there is no dead body at the scene when we were transporting patients. There is no dead body at the scene. Yes, we transported all of the patients to Konfo-Anokye, so they are responding treatments at the Konfo-Anokye, but we gave them treatment in our ambulance too. So Konfo-Anokye also continued the treatment.
Meanwhile, police have been deployed to manage the crowd at the scene. ACP Kwakubwa is Menchia Divisional Commander.
Yeah, the situation is now better than before. About 3.5 hours ago when we came, the whole place was choked. People were literally choking to death. So we had to come in and create 2 parts, an inlet and an outlet. We believe the cause of this unusual congestion at this place at this time has to do with people who are rushing to buy certain items for their wards and kids who are going to school in the next few days or weeks. For now, the situation is okay.
Officials of the Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly say they will partner police to resume decongestion of the city center to avoid a recurrence. Godwin Okumanyame speaks for the assembly.
And people who block the road or the lane will have to be moved. There are some of the traders who are occupying a portion of the section that the road or the path that they are using. They have to be cleared. Then the major one has to do that we are considering is to shift the cording that has been done a little to create more space for the pedestrians.
Reporting for Joy News, Nana Asensu Mensah.
Now, President of the Ghana Bar Association, Benson Nichui, is recommending punitive action against High Court judges who deliver outrageous judgments. According to him, some judges deliver questionable judgments not befitting their high office. He was speaking at the 2018 annual conference of the Ghana Bar Association held in the Eastern Regional Capital, Koforidua, from where Maxwell Kudeko reports.
The Bar Association president observed that the competence of some High Court judges has been called into question in recent times and called on the Judicial Council to strengthen the High Court bench. Benson Nichui says some High Court judges deliver outrageous judgment not befitting the high office of a High Court judge. According to him, the Chief Justice has on some occasions been forced to step in.
The practice of frequently assigning Court of Appeal judges as additional High Court judges in most cases to handle perceived high-profile cases entrenches the impression of a weak High Court bench. The Association wished to commend the Judicial Council on the approval of the new criteria for appointment and promotion of judges and magistrates, which reverts to the old, tried, tested and reliable method of elevation of practitioners to the superior bench on the recommendation of their peers, specifically the Bar and the Attorney General, or on the invitation of the Chief Justice.
The conference is being held under the theme, The Impact of Technology on the Practice of Law to Move with the Changing Times. It was attended by high-profile personalities including Attorney General Gloria Ekufu and President Akufo-Addo, who charged the Ghana Bar Association and the judiciary to contribute to government's efforts to check indiscipline in the country. He observed the main cause of Ghana's problems has to do with a deficit in application of the rule of law. President Akufo-Addo also underscored the need to inculcate technology in the delivery of justice in Ghana.
The law is not keeping pace with technology. The age-old missing dockets syndrome and endless litigations in the country typify our situation. Harnessing the power of technology in the justice delivery system is critical if we are to maintain the confidence of the Ghanaian people and thereby shore up our nation's reputation as the country governed in accordance with the rule of law.
Acting Chief Justice His Lordship Julius Ansah hinted the Judicial Service will soon roll out what he calls the e-Justice project aimed at inculcating technology in the justice delivery system. The e-Justice project will allow electronic filing of cases, online payment of fees and fines, tracking of cases online, among other services. The e-Justice project is expected to be piloted at some courts in Accra and later extended to the regions. The project is also expected to reduce the incidence of judicial corruption.
Welcome back. Now, the remains of former UN Secretary General Kofi Annan has arrived in Ghana from Switzerland, where he died on August 18, 2018. The body of the late Secretary General is being accompanied by his wife, Nane Maria, children, and some UN officials. It was received by President Akufo-Addo. Ghana is ready for an elaborate funeral rite that will precede the burial on Thursday. Ahead of that, some dignitaries have been eulogizing the Nobel Peace Laureate and first black African to be UN Secretary General. Well, former President John Agyekum Kufuor has described the late UN Secretary General as an influential figure who could be relied upon in times of need. Mr. Annan, who passed on last month, is to be buried on Thursday, as we indicated earlier. Mr. Kufuor, who received a delegation of UN officials on Monday, recounted periods during his presidency when he succeeded in getting leaders to agree with him by simply mentioning Mr. Kofi Annan's name.
He was a man of destiny. And on hindsight, I had known him for some time, so I believe I'm not wrong in saying that he was fashioned by destiny to become an exceptional leader. Of many aspects, and I believe it was this nature that really helped to catapult him to the singular position of the United Nations organization, the first ever from
And that's a wrap from us. My name is Arba Kumsin. Join us same time tomorrow. And remember, stick and stay with Joy News. This is your official station for the funeral of the former Secretary General, Kofi Annan. Good night.
This is Joy News Prime.